Hello everybody, this is Miss Alden and we are going to learn about perspective. Perspective is an art technique used to create depth and space or to represent three-dimensional forms on a 2D flat surface like a piece of paper or a painting or a canvas. So we are going to do one-point perspective. We use perspective, like I said, to create three-dimensional looking things on a flat surface. So some things you can use this one-point perspective for are you can do interior spaces like a hallway, buildings. You know, if a building like a house is mostly facing front, you can use perspective, or you can use it to make one of those interesting looking cubicle characters that you might find in a popular video game. So you'll need your ruler and you'll need your pencil. I might use this pen so you can see it a little bit better. This pen is erasable. When we make this cube, we'll all make the cube. You show me the cube and then we'll move on to other things. But it's very important that you're able to make a 3D object using perspective. It's a skill. So the first thing you're going to want to do is create a horizon line. The horizon line doesn't always have to be at the top of your paper. It's just easier for the beginning for you to be able to see this, the cube with the horizon line at the top. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to create a vanishing point. When you're doing your own cubes, work lightly so that you can erase when you make mistakes. And then make it darker afterwards. So that's the next step, vanishing point. Next thing is you're going to make a cube on the paper. Now, when you use your ruler, you have a ruler hand and then you have your pen hand. And you want to be able to turn the paper as you work so that you can make lines more easily. So you're going to make a cube down at the bottom of the paper, parallel to the sides of the paper. So what is parallel? Parallel is when two things are running next to each other in space and they will never touch. If my pen and this ruler were running in space right now, they would touch, so they are not parallel. This is perpendicular. So what we are creating right now is we're going to create lines that are parallel to the sides of the paper. So there's my first line for my cube. Turn. Okay, there we go. There's my cube. Well, it's square right now, and then it's going to turn into a cube. Next, you're going to make the lines that go back to space to the vanishing point. They call that the vanishing point because all of the lines on an object run back to that point and they vanish back there. So that's why it's called a vanishing point. So I'm going to put my pen on the corner of my square, and then I'm going to line it up with my vanishing point and then draw my line. There's the first one. Next one, put my pen on the corner of my square. So when you're finding things to line up to your vanishing point, it's usually a corner or an edge if it's something that's rounded, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So here's this. Down to my end of my box, and now I have a very long rectangle going back into space. Now, next thing you're going to want to do is so you have your square, or mine's a rectangle. Next thing you're going to want to do is draw the back side, because right now it goes on forever. Now we need to cut it off. So I'm going to make parallel line again. So you can. Something I like to do is I take my ruler and I try to then drag it back so it stays parallel to this side of the rectangular square. You can also use your pen line it up with the edge and make sure you're using this as a guide to make sure your two pieces are parallel. And then you're going to draw from the top down. See how this line now mirrors that line. So let me now do the top line where it would cut off to make a cube. Or rectangular prism as it is here. Okay, let's see. So make sure, maybe put my pen here so I know where I need to stop it. Now make sure when you're doing this you don't turn your ruler. Do you see how that's not parallel to this line? So, let's see, make sure that looks parallel. A little bit more, there we go. And then draw my line across. There we are. So now I have a cube going off into space. So at this point, if you wanted to make it look hollow, you could go and take your ruler and then draw a line going back to the vanishing point. And just for the sake of being able to see it, I'm going to draw a dotted line going back into space so you can see it. There. Draw a parallel line to this one starting here, and I'll do it with the dotted line. But when I go to stop it, I will stop it at this line, at this dotted line. So parallel, parallel. To make it look like it's a clear cube, I'm going to just go ahead and draw a dotted line or dashed line. And then the same thing here. Now this is going to be the trick to see whether you've actually drawn these all in parallel correctly. Find my corner. Make my line parallel to the side of that. There we go. This is my corner. That's where this meets that. Draw my thing. There we go. And it's close. It's a little off, but you know, we're artists. We make mistakes. And you know, not everything is perfect. So there is my cube. Now, I have some things to help you if you don't remember these steps. I have some handouts for you that you just ask me for. Directions are on this. And then you can use this along with this other sheet of paper, and you can go ahead and practice on this sheet if you're not confident with creating your piece on a final sheet of paper yet. You can go ahead and use a dry erase marker and start to do your process on this sheet. And just be careful as you're working with it that, you know, let it dry a little bit before you start creating your square and everything, your rectangle. Because as you know, dry erase markers will erase very, very easily, which is nice. And if you have any questions, please ask me and I will be happy to help you. All right.